USC got some huge recruiting news over the weekend, and that just might be a sign of things to come. Tip of the spear.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC. It's part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you are watching the show on YouTube, wherever you want to download the podcast, it's always free. I always appreciate your support. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. While everyone was sitting around over the weekend trying to figure out what in the heck Nico Iamaleava was thinking, trying to strong-arm Tennessee for another $2 million, USC was taking care of their own business. They hosted a bunch of guys on campus again. They held practice at the Coliseum on Saturday. You had recruits, or you had commitments, guys who were checking it out, guys like, defensive lineman Malik Brooks, wide receiver Tron Baker. You had wide receiver from modern day, Caden Dixon Wyatt. He brought along a buddy of his. You might have heard of the name, TomTom Topui, defensive tackle. Probably one of the key headliners in USC's class of 2026. Well, TomTom, this was his fifth visit to USC since he committed on April 1st. You're watching this episode to begin the week. It's April 14th, so 5 times in less than 2 weeks. Yeah, he's having a good time. I think he wants to be a Trojan. Well, to prove that point, like I said, he shows up on Saturday, watched practice, had a good time, and then on Sunday, kind of out of the blue, he just sends out a message. Hayes Fawcett says that TomTom is shutting down his recruitment. He's done. That's it. No more. Even though there's really no such mechanism when it comes to recruiting, what Topui just did is he put the do not contact sign on his recruitment. When players jump into the transfer portal, they can put a little designation, do not contact. Typically that means they know where they're going. You can't really do that in recruiting. What you can do is say, I'm shutting it down. I don't want to talk to anybody. Whether or not other programs follow your request is up to them. So TomTom's like, look, I'm done. I'm shutting it down. I'm a Trojan. So in other words, what he did is he said, I'm done taking trips. I don't want to be harassed. I don't want to be contacted by certain programs and certain head coaches that have 0 national championships to their name. He's basically saying, you had your chance. I was committed to you. I flipped. I don't want to be with you anymore. Leave me alone. If you're not sure who I'm talking about Oregon. That was the shot across their bow. I'm done with you. Stop calling. If I want to come to Oregon, I'll call you. Oregon shouldn't hold their breath waiting for that phone call. This is a significant development for a couple of reasons. One, because, USC right now has 22 commitments. And if 35, and those are high school commitments, if 35 is that number for 2026, it means there's 13 spots left. And that's before we even get to the official visits that are going to start next month in May. So it sends a sign to the recruits, to the other commits. It's time to shut it down and let's work on the next 13. Because that's how many spots are left if 35 is that true target number. So now you have guys like TomTom, Brandon Lockhart, Sean Alston. Those have been the ones who have been the most outspoken trying to build USC's class. Now those guys can kind of come together as a team. All right, we're in. We got the number 1 running back from the state of Ohio. We got one of the top cornerbacks from the state of California. We got the number 1 defensive tackle from the state of California. Let's get everybody else to shut it down. And I've mentioned in the past on other shows how others, They want to play with TomTom. He's that type of player magnet. So taking this next step, shutting it down, really sends that message. Hey, if you're serious, you want to come play with me, I ain't going anywhere. And then you look at what USC's doing in the trenches, they're stacking dudes. I mean, in the last few classes, think about it. You've got, rattle these off, Jade Abasari, Carlon Jones, Cam Fountain, Braylon Shelby, Lorenzo Cowan, Thanos, Gus Cordova, Cash Jacobson. In this cycle, you've got Simone Kadanga, TomTom. And then don't forget, you've got the top 2 defensive tackles from the state of Texas coming in this class. Jamion Winfield, Jake Johnson. So you got all that working for you. And then now you got another example of how USC's recruiting momentum has kind of taken it from second gear to third gear. Guys aren't just committing, they're shutting it down. So now that you're getting kind of towards the crunch time part of this class, like I said, you've got 13 spots available. Well, who do you want in that class? Who do you want rounding out the class? Who should be the balance of the players? Now you got guys hanging out there like Kinye Pepe, Talanoa Ely, Malachi Lee, Sam Utu, Cody Green from Mater Dei. If you're going to take a tight end, is it going to be Mark Bowman first, or is it going to be Luke Sorensen? First one in gets the spot. You're waiting on quarterback Ryder Lyons. What about the linebacker from Mater Dei, Sean Scott? You got the wide receiver from St. John Bosco, Madden Williams. What if you have to pick between Madden Williams and Caden Dixon-White, who also was on campus over the weekend? Don't forget, you got Vance Spafford out there hanging around. I know he's committed to Georgia for now. What about Brandon Arrington, the athlete down there in San Diego? You got the safety, Jet Washington, Bishop Gorman. You got a couple of other elite edge guys hanging around. These guys were on campus over the weekend. He's a top 20 guy from New Jersey, the Hun School. His name is Luke Waffle, top 20 overall in the country. Last big time linebacker edge guy they got from New Jersey, Brian Cushing. Yeah, let's go get this guy. You got a top 100 guy from Columbus, Georgia, Tristan Givens. So like I said, those last 2 names, they were on campus this weekend. So you have TomTom shutting it down. I'll say it, don't be surprised if others start to do the same. Now, I mentioned that they were on campus Saturday throughout the weekend. If whoever was around on Saturday, they got to watch the team practice at the Coliseum. The media wasn't allowed to be there. Nevertheless, I've got a couple of notes from people who were in attendance. And I don't know, some's good, some bad. Well, not bad. Work in progress. How's that? Last year at this point, this person said that the defensive line, they were okay. In his words, quote, they were okay. According to the same person this year, who's very familiar with the offensive line and the defensive line, he says this year's defensive line, they got dogs across the board. By the way, I was talking with somebody, during the weekend. I said, we got to stop calling them dogs. We got to start calling them wolves, apex hunters. And he said, dogs have owners. Wolves don't. And the guys that USC has on their defensive line, yeah, they are apex hunters. They're gonna own people. So, anyways, thought it was an interesting analogy. Well, the same person who saw the defensive line perform last year watched them perform again on Saturday. And he says the defensive line this year, they got the better of the offensive line Saturday. They had the better showing. A different, and we'll say this person had a trained eye, said the offensive line was missing some easy blocks. Again, that's probably not what you want to hear, but, They might have been easy, but the defensive line might have been making them hard. Who knows? Someone else, sent me a message say, you know what, Mark? I loved what I was watching, but I was hoping to see a little bit more hitting. I responded back, I'm not sure what the injury situation is, but that might have played a little bit of a role. I actually do know what the injury situation is. So they're probably doing a lot of thud type of stuff on Saturday. That doesn't mean they didn't have some good old full-on, full-padded contact hitting people hard. I know that because, and especially if you were paying attention to social media, you probably saw it as well. The old Midnight Alley drill, Oklahoma drill, or at least a variation of it. They were putting on a show for the people who were in attendance. Jaden Walker, linebacker, he had the hit of the day, finger quotes there, down at the goal line, made sure the running back did not cross over. So he was getting the flowers from USC social media. Here's someone who if you're an everydayer, Keith Biggers, friend of the show, played linebacker for USC back in the 70s. Part of those teams that went to the Rose Bowl like 3 straight years, beat up on Ohio State. Tough man, tough dude, right? Anyways, he got home and he said, Mark, I was standing in the back of the end zone and I was, caught up between some big guys and I couldn't get out of the way when the action was coming our direction. Well, anyways, the DB and the wide receiver kind of fell into him, knocked him flying. And after they picked him up and dusted him off, make sure that the old man was still in one piece, kind of looked around and says, is that all you got? Anyways, I thought it was kind of funny because when you get hit hard and you're at that age, I'm not calling Keith an old man, but his body was feeling it. He was ready to strap it on. He was like, hey, come on, bring it on. So good times were being had by everybody who was at practice. All right. So spring practice, spring camp. You got this week and next week. That's it. Then it's over. The transfer portal opens this week, April 16th. It'll be open for 10 days. It's really interesting to see what happens with the transfer portal. I'm not sure if you were paying attention over the weekend, but what happened to my light? Hold on one second here. It was something interesting happened over. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. So, as I was saying, there was some action over the weekend, and big time name jumped in there. And I don't know if that was the plan or not, but it's shining a light on NIL. And we might be going through a reset. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. Every now and then you're looking, you see your bank account, you're going, man, I need more money. Where did it all go? Well, you probably do the same thing I do. You eat out a lot. You order out a lot. You entertain. You spend time in hotels. Whatever. You're constantly spending money. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's like having your own personal CFO. It's giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center so you can track all of your accounts, all of your investments, all of your spending, and you can do it all in one place. So you can stop managing your money, start building some wealth. You're going to love the all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple applications, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, even plan some long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. So no, let me get this out of the way. USC is not pursuing quarterback Nico Iamaleava. The quarterback from Tennessee led the team. Well, he was part of the team that went to the playoffs last year. A little backstory. Remember when the entire state of Tennessee stood up for Nico? Made an example out of him? Said no one has the right to say how much anyone is worth with name, image, likeness. Well, because of that, because Tennessee went to bat and took it to court, that decision literally paved the way for Nico and a whole bunch of high school athletes to essentially start the whole pay for play model. It wasn't about name, image, and likeness. I don't remember. Maybe it's happened in Tennessee, but I don't remember seeing any commercials, anybody using Nico to sell product. This was the start of pay for play. Literally, after that whole thing came down, Nico, was being recruited by Tennessee. He obviously signed. He was supposedly getting like $8 million over his time that he was going to play for the University of Tennessee. A couple of years later, he repaid that support with greed. Nico literally bit the hand that fed him. He was trying to get 2 times his annual salary. And let's just be honest, that's what it is. He wasn't earning anything for NIL. He was earning a salary. Just like USC told Bear Alexander to kick rocks for breaking his contract, Tennessee told Nico, you're out of here. Get off of Rocky Top. We don't want you anymore. You're not worth it. You're not worth $4 million a year. I literally cannot think of a better way to educate not just USC players, college football in general. This is a cautionary tale of what not to do. I mean, I don't know. Is it the programs that are doling out these multi-year, multi-million-dollar contracts? Or is it the teenagers and their supporters? Obviously, if someone's offering you $1 million, you're going to take it. I mean, this might be the perfect opportunity for college football to kind of do a reset. I don't know if we'll call it collusion, but this is the time where programs can say, you know what, let's take a step back. Let's make sure this doesn't happen again. Because players were opting out of bowl games. Players were actually starting to renegotiate during the postseason. According to one, Josh Pate, Nico actually tried to renegotiate ahead of the playoff game last year. This is bad for college football. So I'm really hoping that this is a hard lesson to learn for Nico. But I really hope other programs don't cave in and reward him. He was supposed to make $2.4 million this year, allegedly. And he and his peoples allegedly were asking for $4 million. Go look at his stats. They weren't outstanding. It's not like he earned, it's not like he can say, hey, you know what, look at my numbers. I'm worth $4 million. It's not the case. In big games against the tougher teams, he struggled mightily. So USC fans, they've been through this. They learned the lesson with Bear Alexander. Last spring in 2024, he had some injuries. He didn't have any injuries. He was holding out. He was renegotiating his NIL contract. USC caved in, gave him some of what he asked for, a lot of what he asked for. Then the regular season rolled around. He started the whole process again. He wanted to renegotiate. Played in the first couple games. By game 3, he was sitting out again, jumping back in the transfer portal. Now he's off at his 3rd college in 3 years. Just to give you an idea of the type of people Bear has brought into his circle, this was his 7th school between high school and college. Yeah, the word commitment, I don't even know, doesn't know how to spell it. Definitely doesn't understand the definition of it. So, I mean, how many times do we hear karma's a bitch, F-A-F-O, play stupid games, win stupid prizes? This is what Nico and his camp did. Tennessee's like, hey, you know what? You're not bigger than this program. We are not going to allow you to hold us hostage. Go find somebody else to play this game with. Tennessee decided to move on. They played their spring game without him. The young man doesn't show up for practice on Friday. Day later, they're playing their spring game. And now Tennessee's got to figure out who their starting quarterback's going to be. Can't do that. If you sign a contract, do your job. Take that $2.4 million. Now he's homeless. Now he's trying to salvage his reputation. And I'll say this. While I'm glad he's learning a hard lesson, because I cannot stand the direction of NIL. And yeah, I get it. USC's playing the game right now. They have to. It's the only way you can do it. This is going to be coming to an end. That's why you see so many players reclassifying into 2026. They're trying to take advantage of this before these loopholes get closed up. But we are a forgiving people by nature. And he is a young man. I'm done calling these guys kids. They're not. Not when they're making adult money, playing adult games, and trying to leverage big-time universities. No. You can't call them kids anymore. You got to treat them like adults. But here's how Nico can rehabilitate his reputation. He's got natural talent. If he's good enough, he can do it wherever he plays. But let's show everybody that, you know what, you can be a leader. It's not all about the money. Come back to California. Go play for a program like, I don't know, Sacramento State, San Jose State, San Diego State, Fresno State. Take a lot less money. Show that you can be a leader. Get some of those players that, you know, are on the fringe, aren't quite good enough to go to USC, but they'd be willing to play at those schools and play with somebody like you. That's going to kind of rehabilitate his reputation. Because if he's good, he'll make money in the NFL. But the NFL's kind of looking around at him going, well, what are you all about? You were playing at, high level, Tennessee and the SEC. That wasn't good enough. You were getting paid more money than a lot of people will see in their lifetime. And that wasn't good enough. And I hate when I hear people say, well, coaches move around all the time. Why can't players do it? Let's talk about the buyouts that coaches have to pay. About the contracts that are actually being broken. None of that comes up when we talk about the kid. Well, how come the kids can have the same freedom of movement? They can, but there has to be consequences. Nico is going to find out whether or not he's worth 2.4 or if he's going to get less now. And I'm sure there's a program out there that's going to pay. Because, they say, hey, well, let's bring in Nico. We might win 10 games. Let's fill the stands. We'll make our money back. You're sending a bad message if you do that. Like I said, this is a time to reset. I think you need all the power conferences to kind of do a collusion. Say, you know what? It's unfortunate that Nico has to be the guy, but we need to make an example out of somebody. Otherwise, you're going to continue to get more Bear Alexanders, more Nico Iamaleavas. Guys are just going to say, you know what? I'm all about the money. Forget team. Forget locker room culture. Forget camaraderie. It's all about me. That's a bad message. So I'm glad USC is not interested in Nico. They've got their quarterbacks. They got Jaden Mayava. They got Huson Longstreet. They got Sam Heward. They got Gage Roy. They got Jonas Williams coming in the class of 2026. Ryder Lyons, hopefully, as well. You don't need to bring in somebody like a Nico who is going to demand money, and then all of a sudden you're screwing up that locker room. If culture is supposed to be something important at USC, you don't bring this guy in. Not right now. All right, one more segment to go. Get the supplies you need from a site made for the skilled trades supply house. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product information to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 plus top brands. You'll find exactly what you need delivered fast, and you can do it from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service. So you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Masters program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, you can use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Let's just kind of stick with the whole recruiting transfer portal theme that we've been talking about here. Let's change from football to basketball. The men's team, the Must Bus. The Must Bus has kind of lost a few wheels. The axle is broken, crashed, had a little boo-boo. Coach Buss is trying to reshape that roster again going into year 2. It's not going to be a whole lot of continuity going. His 2 highly touted freshmen from 2024, I guess 2024-25, Isaiah Elohim, Jason Shelley, they both bolted. They're no longer with the program. They jumped in the transfer portal. Not very happy about that. I mentioned it before on Locked on USC. I was really disappointed to hear that Wesley Yates, who was probably the second best player on the team last year after Desmond Claude, well, he's going back to Washington. Yeah. So out of high school, he joins the Huskies. He redshirted, injury, jumps in the transfer portal, comes to USC with Quincy Pondexter. I believe that's his uncle. Blows up, has a great season at USC. Jumps back in the transfer portal, going back to Washington. Dude literally pulled a Kyle Ford in reverse. I mean, last year, Yates averaged 14 points, 3 rebounds. He was pretty efficient from behind the three-point line, almost 44%. I mean, I think that was like 4th in the Big Ten. He was a freshman. He averaged 17 points per game. You're hoping that USC is going to be able to make an offer to Desmond Claude, keep him, make him stay. Depends what his draft grade looks like. You've got hopefully coming back. Hopefully, you're trying to get that extra year for Rashawn Agee. That would be huge if they can get him to come back. You've got the young man from Michigan who transferred, got hurt. He's coming back. Williams. God, I couldn't remember his last name. And then you're just loading up in the transfer portal. USC right now, you've got the 2 incoming freshmen, really good ones. You've got Jerry Easter and Elijah Arenas. So that's going to be your freshman backcourt. Hopefully they'll be able to learn from Desmond Claude. You got Rashawn Agee. He needs help in the front court. So what did USC do? They went out and they got Jaden Brownwell from Samford. He's, I think, 6'9". Yeah, 6'9", 230 pounds. They also got Jacob Coffey. He is 6'10", 230 pounds from Virginia. He's actually a top 50 player in the transfer portal. There's like 2,000 players. He's considered one of the top 50 guys in there. And then USC went real big. So they got 6'9" in Jaden. They got 6'10" in Jacob Kofi. USC finally has a true center. 7'3", 225 pounds. His name is Gabe Dines. Youngstown State. USC actually got him over Kentucky. Yeah. He wants to be at USC instead of playing at Kentucky. So that's a kind of a huge win. 7'3". USC lacked size in the Big Ten Conference. Now they're starting to get that presence inside. again, hopefully Rashawn Agee they find that extra year for him. That would be huge. Now you have him playing with, alongside guys like Jacob Kofi from Virginia, who actually is considered an NBA player. You get 2 years with the kid from Sanford. He makes 50. He shoots over 50% from the field, 80% from the free throw line, just under 40% from 3-point range. So we're going to see what kind of team Coach Musselman can cobble together for his second year. I'm disappointed in a couple of players they lost, but I guess this is just the way you build college basketball rosters now. Every year, it's going to be new, and it's going to be through the transfer portal. And I don't know if that's a great way to get the fans involved, wanting to support your team. It's not Coach Mussel's fault. It's just the way the sport is going. You got to put some rules in place. You got to fix this. Right now, it's out of control. There's just more, because there's more players on a football team, you don't really notice it as much, but yeah, college athletics, it's in a really weird spot right now. And they got to fix it. I'll be back with another episode of Locked on USC tomorrow. We'll talk about USC football. They got practice this week. We'll see which recruits are getting ready to commit, who's ready to shut it down. So until that next episode, everyone, you know what to do.